Hi, I'm Kimberly Chafee from Kimberly's Quilting and Sewing. This week we're going to use our new fabric from Tula Pink called Eden and make these 3 great bags from Sara Lawson's book, Big City Bags. Stay tuned to the end and you'll find out how to win one of these bags this week. Today we're going to be working on making some great bags using the Big City Bags book from Sara Lawson and the fabulous brand new fabric line from Tula Pink called Eden. We're going to make 3 bags together. I've already pre-read some of the instructions just to make sure I have all my supplies collected and ready to go. So we're going to start right in with the meringue clutch and move on from there. So stay tuned for 3 great bags from Big City Bags book by Sara Lawson and Tula Pink's fabric collection Eden. So at this part of the instructions, I've gone ahead and traced the pattern like they've told us to do, and the pattern has 2 pieces to it. One is the accent piece and the other is the main foundation piece. So what that is in this case is this is going to be my foundation piece here. This is going to be the part of the bag that actually gets scrunched up and gathered together, and I'm going to actually be putting this onto this. So right now I've gone ahead and traced my pattern onto freezer paper, and then I'm going to go ahead and iron this down, place it on the fold. Freezer paper is great because I can peel it back up when I'm done and reuse it onto my other 2 pieces that I'm going to have to cut here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. The patterns are clearly marked in the book, and the instructions so far are easy to understand. So we're off and running, and we'll go ahead and cut this out and come back in just a minute. Part of our instructions has us cut the pattern pieces from a product called Shape Flex. It's usually made by Pellon, and what it is a woven cotton interfacing, and in this case it's an iron-on. So when you have a project that needs a little bit of stiffness added to it, this is a great product. The weave goes both directions, so it's not going to stretch, and a lot of times people use it when they're making collars or cuffs on a sleeve. But in our case, we're going to be using it as part of the stability for the bag. One of my pet peeves with bags is that they just wrinkle up and they don't hold their body. So we're going to use the Shape Flex as it calls for the instructions, cut out some pattern pieces, and then we're going to iron them down to our actual pieces of fabric here that we've already have cut. So we're going to go ahead and do that and come right back. So at this point, we've attached our accent piece onto the front and the back side of the bag. Made sure that my little lions, and well, tigers actually, are going the direction I need them to be going. So that's kind of important because I'm using a directional fabric today. I've sewn 1/8 of an inch stitch there along that edge, which was very nice because I didn't have to do a flip. A lot of times they have you flip the top down and sew it and then flip it back. This actually, we pressed this under. The fabric stayed to the back side, and I stitched 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, so that went well. I've attached my extender here for my wristlet strap, and I have my wristlet strap done and ready to go. The instructions for this were very good. I followed them just fine. So we're going to go ahead and put on the zipper and then finish up the rest of this bag. Very excited, love the instructions, love the technique, and I think this would be a good bag for somebody that's used to sewing, a little more intermediate level sewing, not necessarily for a beginner, but if a beginner has a good friend that's helping, I think this would still be an okay bag. Okay, so we got our bag put together. We have attached our strap here on the side, and this is for our wrist to go in, and we have this great clamp here. You can see that it's a roomy bag on the inside, and the zipper attachment went on just great. The instructions were well written, and we're on to our next bag. So far for bag number 1, we're in really good shape. Everything looks really good, and I think that anybody who wants to attempt this bag that has a little bit of intermediate sewing experience would be able to handle this. So on to the next bag. So we're getting ready to make our second bag, which is the Lucky Denver Mint bag from Sara Lawson. And I've gone ahead and gathered my Tula Pink fabrics here, my Moda solid here. I have also used my best press, sprayed them all, did a light starching with them to give them a little bit of stiffness. And now I'm going to go ahead and prepare all the pieces like the instructions tell me to do. I'm going to pre-cut everything, get everything all ready to go like an assembly line, and then we'll start putting everything together. So this is going to be a great bag. I'm really excited for it. These are bright colors, and the tiger print should come out really cool on this bag. So let's get started. One of the things I learned when I did home dec custom for interior designers is when we had to have a print that was going to be the same on, let's say, a decorative pillow front and back, we always had to make sure that every pillow always had the same exact print at the very front and the very exact same place on the back. So we always had to cut everything just the same across the board. So what I just did a minute ago is I went ahead and I cut my fabric here for the front of my bag, and instead of having to remeasure and recut everything, I'm going to make sure that the back of my bag is exactly the same. So all I'm going to do here is just lay this across, line everything back up. It's going to be a real big time saver, and then I'm going to be able to cut this piece. So you always want to be paying attention to those kinds of details, where if you have to front and the back of something, that they are absolutely the exact same. So that shows custom, that shows quality, and your bag will look so much better. Okay, so at this point I've gone ahead and cut out my pattern. You can see they are both identical, so whether you're looking at the front of the bag or the back of the bag, it really doesn't matter. They're both going to look exactly the same. I've also gone ahead and fused my fabric onto my Quilter's Dream fusible batting, which I absolutely love. It's a really good quality batting. There's a nice smoothness to it, and you don't see a bunch of strings running through it or areas of heavy strings and then lighter strings. This is a good quality batting. I use it in all my table runners, placemats, any project that calls for some type of fusible fleece or fusible batting. This is what I use. So I'm going to go ahead and proceed to cut everything out and start putting the bag together. So we've made the straps to go ahead and put on the front of this really great bag, and I am having a wonderful time putting this bag together. The instructions are simple, the design is simple, everything is just flowing together beautifully. I actually, instead of going out and buying rings for this project, I actually had a pair of rings from Cafe Rods from my shop, so I went ahead and repurposed them, and they are now the rings on my bag. So they're nice heavy-duty rings, so this is going to be a bag that will last a long time. And like I said, I'm having a great time. This is a great design style, and we're going to go ahead and move on to the pockets and then the zipper. Okay, so we've completed two great bags so far using our Tula Pink fabric and our Sara Lawson book Big City bags. I'm having a great time with these projects. The instructions are so well written. I really believe that if you are an intermediate sewer, you're going to have a wonderful time making these. They're a great product when you're done, and they're very quality oriented, so you're not making something that is kind of flimsy or you're not sure if you're going to have it last or not. Great for gifts, and I highly recommend this. If you're a beginner, grab a buddy who knows how to sew, and you can still accomplish this, and I think that you'll have a wonderful time. So we're going to make our third bag, the Fireside Bowl bag, out of this book, and we're going to go ahead and get started with our purple tigers and our purple peppered cotton fabrics. So one of the things I want to make sure that I point out again, like we did in the last video, was that when you have a print that you want to be the same on both sides, as I do in this particular bag, because I think that when you match your fabrics on both sides, it gives that custom professional look. So I've gone ahead and I've cut the first pattern where I wanted to on this piece of fabric, and now I'm just going to lay this over top, matching up all the different points here, matching up my ears, the bottom of his whiskers, and I'm going to go ahead and pin this down. That way I'm sure that both sides of the bag, doesn't matter if I switch sides while I'm using it or carrying it along, that the tiger's going to be on the same both ways. So that just to me spells professional look, and we're going to go ahead and cut this out. I wanted to give you a close-up of how well the instructions are put together for this bag. All the materials are on the left. All the cutting instructions are on the right. So when you get the pattern and you're looking at it, you know exactly how many pieces you're going to need to cut. One of the biggest things I find is a necessity for me is to keep everything in order and to pre-cut everything so that when I sit down to sew, I'm not having to go back and recut the fabric. So you can see here I have all my pieces cut out. I have everything assembled. I know I've gone ahead and put everything in order. And if it was my book and not one to sell, I would have actually made little check marks in pencil next to each item. But since I can't do that, you know, I've gone ahead and laid everything out. I can see what I need to sew together, and I'm going to go ahead and proceed with the instructions. But I just wanted to say that as far as instructions are concerned and the way that the materials and cutout page is listed, it's very easy to follow, very easy to understand, and I think that you'll have no trouble understanding these instructions. One of the things I really like about Sara's instructions for the zipper panel on this top of this bag is that it takes all the guesswork out of putting in a zipper. So if you're not comfortable putting in zippers, this is one of the easiest applications to do. You actually start with the piece of fabric that you cut for the top and for the lining the same way, and you're going to cut that in half, and then you're going to take that, put it together, and she tells you in the instructions to sew that end just a little bit in. At that point, then what happens is you're going to put in a basting stitch along the long edge, and then you press this open. Okay, I'm going to set that aside. This is now my top where the actual zipper is going to go, and right along this seam line here is where the teeth of the zippers are actually going to fall, and we're going to pin that in place, sew it around, and then we're going to undo those basting stitches, and at that point your zipper's in place. So one of the really easy ways of doing a zipper, so if you are a beginner and you're uncomfortable with zippers, this might be a good technique for you to try. So at this point I wanted to go ahead and show you that we've started attaching the front of the bag to the part that is the bottom and the top with the zipper. This went on very, very well, and because we're going through a couple layers of batting and fabric, you want to make sure that you put your walking foot on your sewing machine at this point. That way there's no shifting, you won't be fighting with all the fabric walking away from you. I did pin this all the way around, and I am going to trim this part. But I think that if you have a walking foot available on your machine, now is the time to put it on. I'm going to go ahead and open up this zipper and put my other side on, and then we'll work on the lining. Now that was a lot of fun. I make a lot of things for draperies and home deck and quilting and sewing, but this bag was a blast. Not only was that bag a blast, but the other two bags that we made were also just as much fun. I can honestly say I haven't had this much fun making a bag in a very long time. I love how it came out. I love the design, the shape, and the instructions were awesome. So Sara Lawson, you get 10 stars for a great pattern, and I'm excited to make a couple of the other bags that are in your book. We hope you've enjoyed this week's book review of Sara Lawson's book, Big City Bags. If you'd like to win one of the bags shown in this week's video, head over to our webpage at www.pittsewing.com to find out how to enter to win. Please like and subscribe for more videos from Kimberly's Quilting and Sewing.